Today marks the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act. And one fact many don't know about this landmark bill is a Republican congressman by the name of William McCulloch is the one responsible for getting it passed. Here now with more is the niece of Martin Luther King and the author of King Rules, Dr. Alveda King. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Real pleasure to have you,
Thank you
back here on the show. First of all, let's start with the book. What is the book about?
King Rules, and it's a how-to book. 10 rules, 10 principles that help to shape Martin Luther King Jr. and the whole King family legacy. It starts with home and it ends up with joy, civil rights in between.
That's terrific. All right, so speaking of civil rights, 50 years ago, the Civil Rights Act was signed. Lyndon Baines Johnson, a Democrat, seems to get all the credit.
Right.
But, you say there's a Republican who was absolutely instrumental.
Bill McCulloch, a civil rights activist with the unique ability to go across aisles and bring Republicans and Democrats together. And in his own community, his own voters were like, why are you really doing this? What do you really care about this? And so he did this just out of character, out of courage, and he crafted this civil rights bill, worked hard to get the votes across the aisle, a Republican, a conservative.
So take us back 50 years ago. You know, a lot of people go, well, the Republicans were completely against that. That is not true. It took a number of Republicans, spearheaded by this guy, to get it done.
And that has generally been the case in the party, but with a real bad PR, never speaking up about how hard we have fought, what we had to do in the civil rights era. And so McCulloch was, you know, he was unusual, courageous. There were others across the aisle through the years that have done that, and they won't get the credit. But for, you know, Lyndon Baines Johnson, I think he just did it because he cared about, you know, wanted to honor Kennedy as well. But he really wasn't that excited about it. It was McCulloch who was doing the work to bring those parties together.
You were just telling me another story that I had not heard about regarding Richard Nixon, how Richard Nixon came to the assistance of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Now, Richard Nixon, my uncle M.L. was in jail, Martin Luther King Jr., and Nixon wanted to get him out. He says, well, we need to help the guy. Let's get him out. And his advisor says, too hot, leave it alone. And then Bobby Kennedy said to his brother, you got to help this guy, help him get out of jail. And what happened, at that time, most blacks were Republicans. Right. And when the Kennedys helped to get Martin Luther King Jr. out of jail, my granddaddy, Martin Luther King Sr., a Republican, said, I've got to give my suitcase of votes to the guy that got my son out of jail. Yeah. And that's another historical fact. And so Republicans historically have been at the front line. Was not Lincoln a Republican?
He absolutely was.
Independence. You know, we're going to celebrate that in a couple days. So people forget about it.
And people forget that Martin Luther King was a Republican as well.
That's right. Well, not really a Republican. Let me take that back. He was an independent. And he said that I might have to speak to either party. His daddy was a Republican, right, not Martin Luther King. All
right. Dr. Alveda King, her new book is out right now. Just came out a couple of days ago. It's doing very well. And thank you very much for joining us on this great day.
Thank you.
All right.